Swinging Warhammers like a space warrior. It's the Large Blast podcast. I'm your host, Stoney, and I'm joined as always by Welshie.
Charge up that Thunderhammer.
And Matt.
Boom!
And we're here today to talk to you about all things 40k, and we're going to get things kicked off with something we call hobbies goings on, as we take a little look at what's been going on in the hosts' lives. So, Matt, what have you been up to? I haven't spoken to you for a while in terms of what you've been doing hobby-wise. What's been going on?
No, certainly not since the last recording me and Welshie did. I've basically done nothing. And prior to that, I'd done nothing. So the only thing
He'd done nothing. Like he
Stoney,
came on, Stoney.
yeah.
If you haven't listened to it, he came on. Yeah, I've done nothing. Oh, actually, I have done some Warhammer. And then he went on about some fucking Bretonian knights. It wasn't even 40k.
It was I finished some Empire models.
Oh
like,
yeah, then we had a big argument.
No, don't get him going again. It's back
between...
on it. He's back on
it. Lots of things I want to do, but
what do you want to do? What's next up on your? If you could paint something tomorrow, what 40k related, mind you, what would it be?
Well, I'm still halfway through the models that you 3D printed. Want to do them? I want to finish assembling my the figures from Blackstone Fortress, the Chaos Traitors that I was going to paint as blood pact troopers. Want to do them? They've been on my desk for fucking months. And then Games Workshop sent me an email. Well, they sent everyone an email reminding them that it's 3 months until Armies on Parade, which is shocking because isn't that like October, November? So I saw that, like, fuck me, is that 3 months away?
Time flies when you're not painting 40k.
Yeah, I really want to try and finish my Sisters of Battle board. That was one of my New Year's resolutions this year, and I can't believe I've spent 6 months doing nothing. So be it.
Well, faith in the Emperor, Matt. You'll get there in the Holy Trinity.
Yeah, there's always next year. Well, maybe now there's a release of fantasy, they'll start doing Bretonians on display or something, and you'll probably be able to fill that out pretty nicely at this stage.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll tell you what, actually, slight divergence from the hobby progress, but I was in Games Workshop today in Brighton.
Oh,
and just picking up a paint, and Skaven Tide came out. The big new Sigmar edition release has just come out.
Oh yeah.
And he said to me, I said, every time I see the new Sigmar models, it makes me want to stop 40k and paint them. And he said, you're not the only person that said that. He said the Skaven have bought in loads of 40k players. Cool. He was like, he couldn't believe how many people that normally pay 40k were like, I want this, but only because I like Skaven. So Space Skaven,
it's time for Space Skaven.
Workshop.
Yeah,
I would say they're losing money, but it's just buying a different Games Workshop game, so you're probably not losing any money.
They're gaining it, if anything.
Yeah, exactly. So, Welshie, what have you been up to?
Everything's a little bit mad here too, going away, but I managed to finish off a couple of Tyrannid models. They've gone out on the podcast. Instagram, I took photos of all of those Ragnarok models that I've been going on about for months, so they'll be coming out on the Instagram too if you want to see some non-GW models after just mocking Matt for that. And I basically have to pack up my whole house in the next 4 days, so I'm frantically trying to finish my knight Acastus, the big boy, the big Forge World knight I got on my 30th birthday 4 years ago.
Yeah, I was just going to say
February, 5 years in February. And I might do it. It won't be fully weathered, but then it also won't be fully based. But as an actual model, I might get close. We'll see. I'm going to be up very late all week trying to get it done. But yeah, it's something it was one of my aims for the year too, actually, I think, in my New Year's resolutions. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, be a proper thing. You could going to put that in for. So, does that count as an Armies on Parade if you just got a knight? I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like the amount of hours I've spent painting it should bloody do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you see photos of that on the Instagram, I've done it. And if you don't, I didn't make it. It's in a box in my parents' garage for the next 6 months.
Man, you're going to need a lot of bog roll to wrap that one up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How about you, Stoney?
What have I been doing? Again, not much, like everybody's not been doing a whole lot, I guess.
The Warhammer 40k podcast with people that don't even do it.
I know, it's terrible, isn't it? But I have been working on my Gene Steel Occult limo a bit. That's nearly finished.
Oh, baby.
Getting all of that. I was sort of trying to work out what to release, like how much to get, because I figured like it would be if I just released like the Gene Steel Occult sort of mini limo thing, and nothing else in the same style, it wouldn't really be very good. No one who would want that, because it's just like so I've made some guys to go with it, which have been going along pretty well, like a squad of 10, the Herefights or Neophytes or whatever I was talking about.
Nice.
But my end goal basically is to release, that like if you Google Gene Steel Occult limo, one of the only real images you get of it that comes up is that one of like the Gene Steel Occult stood in front of two limos, like either side of it, and then like all the Gene Steel Occult in the middle. I was basically going to make like so you could buy that. So it comes with two like kind of Gene Steel Occult limos, some Hematophytes or Neophytes or whatever, and a Magos or whatever that come with it. So you've got like a little squad of dudes and a car. And then I can like expand on that and make like my full army.
I got a request actually, Stody. Can you make a version of it? It doesn't have to be for the release, but with like one of the Gene Steel Occults in sunglasses holding the door open, like he's opened the door for someone to get in.
Oh, cool! Yeah, definitely.
Like a special
like
service guy about
one of the things I wanted to go with that whole kind of like opulence feel thing. Like when I finally get around to doing the Primarch, he's going to be like classic big fat Primarch on a throne, like the OG one.
Yeah,
I think he even has a cigar, that one. So maybe I'll do like he can be a classic old school style Harvey Weinstein style director sitting in a big chair.
He should have a cigar in a cigarette holder.
Oh yeah.
Like a cigar holder.
Yeah. So that's good. But I think other than that, we've just got like a little bit of housekeeping we should probably just take care of and talk to people about. And that is like, if you listen to this show on YouTube, we're going to be moving all the podcasts over to its own channel, the Large Blast Podcast. Podcasts will be on the Large Blast Podcast channel, and all our video stuff will be on Large Blast Studio, which is the current channel. So, get over and subscribe to the new one. If you're just here for the podcast, get over there, subscribe to the new one, unsubscribe from the video one because that has nothing for you. And if you're here just for the video ones, then what are you doing listening to this podcast? So you'll never know anything ever happened. So
if you can't find it, there'll be a link from both channels to the other channel. So just check the channel description.
Yeah.
Finance, cutting-edge technology. Accurate information is the Large Blast Podcast News. Hear every episode.
Dust off your Gazgol cosplay and get ready to go and interact with some other dweebs doing silly voices, because now you can do a narrative tournament. That's right. In America, there's apparently a tournament where you can knock yourself up a set of armor out of some old cardboard boxes and go and show up looking like you smell, finally. So this is a group of nerds all hanging out with their in their respective role play characters, going and doing some playing Warhammer.
Yeah, basically summed it up very succinctly there. It's a new way of like them hosting tournament. It's at the US and Warhammer World, and it looks like you kind of get points for more than just playing. Right, this is how I like to play tournaments. I like to make pew pew noises. I like to laugh, make stupid dweeby jokes, and they've even put like how you interact with the people at Bugman's Bar at Warhammer World will kind of contribute to prizes throughout the day and stuff. This is how I like playing Warhammer. This takes me back to the old rule book and shaking hands and the rules of how to play fairly and stuff. This is my kind of thing. I'm a fucking dweeb.
It's hard to argue with someone when they're dressed up like a space lobster or whatever. You can't imagine seeing two people one dressed as an orc, one dressed as an elder, argue over dice decisions. It just seems less likely. Surely it's just kind of like it's just a better. People are there more to have fun, right? It's more like a fancy dress party vibe.
You'd hope so, yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, what would you dress as?
I mean, I'd say you hope so. I was a bit dubious about these things.
Maybe it makes it better. Maybe it makes it easier to cheat. Maybe if you can have like a fake hand with a bunch of weighted dice inside or something.
I don't know what I'd go as. Commissar? That'd be cool.
Scream in people's face for the whole game.
Yeah. I mean, kudos to Games Workshop for doing it. it's always a bit weird when you go to a tournament and someone's sort of dressed up a little bit too much, you know. But at
that's
least
'cause you
here they
weren't
have an
expecting it.
excuse.
You know, if
Yeah,
you're
that's what I
dressing up
mean.
for a
Yeah,
competitive
yeah.
tournament, that is a bit weird.
Yeah.
What they have you ever been to a tournament where someone's come dressed up as a space marine, like full cosplay or some shit?
No,
or
but
like
I'm
an
sure
Imperial
we've been
Guard
to
or something?
ones where people have sort of, you know, they've got some, you know, they put a bit of thought and effort into like,
I like to go in a tux personally, show the event some respect.
Right.
This maybe because we always talk about this all the time, feels like all the time now, but like just Games Workshop trying to appeal to more dweebery, you know, like other dweebs, get them hooked, because so many people love all the dressing up stuff, don't they? People spend hundreds, just like it's like a hobby as well, like go to Comic-Con or whatever dressed up as your favorite, you know, Garfield character or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, expect to see on yourselves soon the full Games Workshop branded cosplay range, I'd imagine.
Oh, do you reckon?
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, I mean,
why not?
But have you not seen Games Workshop have literally already started doing that with fantasy?
Oh
Have they?
yeah,
What, like,
well we
yeah.
did.
proper
No, we,
suits?
I
Did we
think
talk about
I
that?
think me and you talked about it on a small blast one time. But it's like, but to be fair, the fantasy outfits they did were just like it literally could be from a party shop, just medieval peasant, you know,
They-
it's just like a hat and like some pantaloons.
Yeah, there's a company in Germany they've like tied up with. So for Empire, like classic Holy Roman Empire, like medieval clothing and stuff. Yeah, there's something, and it makes out that it's only the beginning. So yeah, I mean, Games Workshop could definitely go into this.
That company closed down 1 week after it opened. That's only the beginning, my balls. Plushie news, it's back. We've got more plushie news. Apparently, this is what we do now, is we review plushies. So, Matt, what was your thoughts on these? I'm assuming that was just the segment last time. I'm assuming is Matt talking about plushies, right?
Well, it's the whole episode.
The servo skull. Yeah.
Although we didn't talk about what's the Tyranid thing, Ripper.
Well, I put the Ripper on because I thought
That's great.
Now
That's
that Sony's
so funny.
back, he likes the Gene Stealer cults, you know, it's Gene Stealer cult adjacent. It's a new plushie for Matt to get hard over live on the podcast.
Yeah.
I think that's quite cool. But I'm still a massive fan of the servo skull. I think that's fucking great.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what you guys are trying to do. I think you're trying to bait me in to do a big reaction and get all upset about these, honestly, pieces of complete shit that have been. You know, this is what's become of our hobby, right? I mean, that's how you want it to go, right? You want me to get all angry and be like, look what's going on with this fucking skull. This looks like it was just what this company is probably pumping out those like, cuddly fucking sugar skulls or something. I mean, we've stuck some gubbins on the bottom of it. Now it's a servo skull. And what's it there to trick dullards like Matt into coming round and buying them to hug at night? What do you want me to say? Is that what you want me to say? Is that what you want me to do when it's not going to happen? I won't do it.
Oh.
Rolling in my 6-4.
Politics. It's a pile of old shite, innit? But thankfully for us here at the LBP, stupidity does not disqualify you from politics, so we can get involved as well. And get involved we did. You see, Welshie's uncle was actually a governor of Hive Secundus, a collapsed hive city tilting dangerously like a drunk traffic cone and overrun with the scum of the universe. Gene Stealer cults, a disgruntled population and a previous government that tried to solve all its problems by sticking rich cunts in mech suits and sending them off to have a purge of any nerdy-wells they see. And although that plan sounded airtight, we still got a LinkedIn private message from Welshie's uncle telling us he wanted us to come visit him. Then when we got there, we found out he'd run off and left us in charge, simply leaving a note that said, "It's your problem now, boys." So here we are, boys, in the halls of power, playing the wicked game. And it's time that we did our gubernatorial duty and embezzled a load of funds and basically just did fuck all. And maybe we should think about getting out of here in one piece if we can.
Yeah, not before we have some Amasek cigars.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, grab all the Amasek cigars and as many fine fabrics as you can, and let's get out of here.
Haha, sorry boys, I see you've fallen into the trap of investing in this plummeting hive. Well, you're not easily out of this because you owe the Imperium 10 billion geld. And if you don't find a way to turn this absolute dump of a fly around, you're going to find your heads on the Inquisition's chopping blocks. And I haven't even begun to mention the problems yet. For a start, how are you going to sort out that Mel-strain gene stealer? What are you going to do about protection from the Dust Wall? You've already got bloody playboys turning the whole thing upside down. And you need to invest in new people to live in the area, run it, and keep the gangs out. Good bloody luck to you. I'm taking that, Amoset. You can sit down and get the fuck on with it.
Call me Barack Mook Big Balls Mook Winston Churchill. I'm ready to do some governing, boys. Let's handle some of these issues that this shitty planet has become.
Okay.
We need to make an end to the beautiful flower it once was.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. Well, I think first things first is we've got to work out how we're going to deal with the fact that the base layers, the underhells, I think they're called, we need to sort them out, don't we? Or do we just board them up?
I mean, what options, how could we solve them? What options do we have? Presumably we have
what's going on down there? Let's have a look at the roots of the problems, right? So we've probably got this is where the undesirables live, right?
The cult.
The biologist Hermiata seems to have created a gene stealer cult down there, which Helmar's decision to bomb hasn't gone particularly well, and now it's turned into this Mal-strain gene stealer form.
Yeah, the funky fungus gene stealer.
Yeah, the Last of Us gene stealer edition.
Is the cult still there, or is it just these gene stealers running around?
Yeah, there's some pretty culty models, weird looking culty neophytes down there for sure. How organized it is, I'm not sure we've got many reports, but maybe we could have a chat with some of the playboys that are popping over. We've got this Amasek and these cigars.
Some of these guys who are going down to hunt down there. How do you kill a mushroom alien and a bunch of people that worship them? You know what? I'm thinking. I'm floating the idea. You're right. Let's just board it up. Just let them get on with it. Board it up. Forget about it. That's the Imperial way.
I suppose it is. Yeah.
Seal them in.
Yeah.
How long are the terms in office round here? Because if it's only 4 years or something, then we just got to board that shit up and just get
some
on
expanding
with
foam and
exactly, yeah,
and plywood,
bit of duct tape. You know what? Let's fork out. Let's use some of that. Let's use some of our budget on some high grade plaster concrete or whatever it's called, and just fucking concrete the shit out of the whole base. Start again.
Oh,
no,
I like that
flood
idea.
It. That's a nice
idea.
idea.
They did in Siege of Terror.
Exactly.
They flooded the wall.
Fossils. We're making fossils of these bastards.
Okay, I like that. And the other mafia inspired.
The other idea I had was, instead of we want to block them off, like you said, and maybe we flood them as well, but maybe we try and open an exit as well. So instead of just boxing them in and filling them with concrete, we also open an external way, or we make an external way very clear. Maybe we drop some bait out into the wastelands so that they to the next hive, to our next door neighbor. So we, a problem shared is a problem halved, and then they might end up fighting them for us.
I don't think that's a very long-term solution. I think we might end up with an entire
or we can just move the problem over to the next door neighbor.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea. I'm kind of in for that. It probably saves us on some concrete as well. So,
yeah, maybe. Well, what we could do is we could keep all of the money we've allocated to the concrete, but only buy half the concrete, and we could spend the rest of it on Amasek and cigars.
Okay, I like this idea. Yeah, we just flood a very superficial top layer that looks like.
Look, we did it.
Cool, and then we cut some deal with some corrupt concrete manufacturer, so you can bury a couple of our political rivals in there as well at the same time.
Yeah, they'll never be found.
Exactly, and then like you say, a problem shared is a problem doubled in the future, which but we'll be out of office by then. We'll be dead. All the amount of Amasek we're going through.
We could make even more money for Amasek as well by getting the Spirers on the phone and telling them we're letting them out the back door because they love
Oh
our
yeah,
bus.
Exactly.
It's like hunting.
yes.
Choke points.
Yeah, charge a
Yeah.
permit.
But then we are kind of inadvertently solving
Charge
the
a
problem. And I
permit.
did kind of feel like maybe we were trying to also just do as little work as possible. But yeah, I do. Yeah, you're right.
2
We can
exits.
charge them. We can. Yeah. Okay. So we set up. Here's what we do. Right. We take some of our concrete money and we build a tiny little theme park out by one of these exits. Okay. Spiraland or something.
Yeah.
And then we just and then we use a combination of the dodgy concrete that we've bought to funnel them into Spiraland, where the Spirers can have a bash at them, and then all the dead ones, we can steal their equipment, then we'll have some fancy suits or something.
I definitely think keep some in a box, because at some point it's too
we
far
might
in the
run
future.
out.
But we might need to do some other hive sabotage, like Matt's saying. I mean, if this all works out, which I can't see the plan we've come up with so far failing, then
Flawless.
we might want to stay in government for a long time. We can get used to the AMASEC in the future.
You're right.
And we're going to have to tear the other hives down to do that.
You're damn straight. In fact, maybe we should do it until a lot of people would say, hey, they're too old and they should retire. But we'll be like, no, I don't care if I'm pissing my pants up here on the behind the podium. I'm still cashing them checks, baby.
We'll be there. We'll be stood on the stage against our rival. We'll be saying, God, when I used to do Spyro Gene Stealer golf, I had a handicap of 8. Remember that time I killed 8 Maelstrom Gene Stealers? You'd be like, no, this guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. We'll be like, we can't play golf anymore because the whole of the lower, anything under sea level has been filled with a superficial layer of concrete, including all the golf holes.
They told me Spiraland, it would never work. Never work, they'd said. All right, well, that's the first initial problem, I think, solved. So we've got a nice foundational layer here to build a hive exactly as we want it, for the many, not the few. We've also got a load of surrounding land and a big old wall protecting us. So how are we going to develop this? Who do we want to bring in?
I think first thing we should do is have a big party. We've filled, we've got to keep everyone's spirits high. We've got to be the government of false hope and prosperity. So first thing we do is we declare a national holiday and honoured for a day, right? We've got the walled off areas. We get everyone out of the city for a bit. We're like, come on, guys. Let's go and stretch our legs. Let's have a beach day. We go out onto the blasted wastes. Sure, a lot of the population will perish. Sure, that, our hive city will be surrounded by the good-intentioned holiday makers that came out into the blasted waste and were instantly burnt to death. But that's okay, because the ones that didn't will have invested heavily in our new sun cream that we're government selling at a very reasonable price. We've also come to some agreement with some cream manufacturer. I'm sure there's someone that manufactures creams and lotions.
Well, Stoney, I've seen the Fire Festival documentary, which is basically what you're selling here. If I've got this right, if we're going to host a big party like this, we're going to need some paparazzi there, some influencers, but we're going to need some big celebrity names. You see. So who are we going to pull in?
You're right. I mean, we do to a certain extent, but in a very kind of North Korea kind of style, where those guys go off. There's a propaganda party going on, and then there's imagine the Fire Festival, but you blew the fucking island up afterwards. That would be that's more. What's this? These are guys.
Who's our big ticket name that we want to say? This is the place to come and live.
Okay, and I know that this is going to be a controversial one, but I reckon we try to get Old One Eye.
I was just thinking about Old One Eye. Yeah,
let's get his agent
Jurassic
on the
Park,
phone.
when they pull the T-Rex off the boat.
Exactly. It'd be like, or we could dress him up like a pirate and be like, come down to Old One Eye's like magical cabin cruise or something like that. We sell One Eye plushies, Old One Eye plushies.
Oh, great idea.
Yeah. That would actually be quite a cool plot. If they did a plushie of the old school Carnifex, then I might maybe. No, I wouldn't.
We would. We're going to take that as an opportunity. Okay, so we've got Old One Eye, hashtag One-Eyed Wonder,
Yeah, living it up
That's
with
trending.
old one eyes. He could be like, yeah, think of the branding. The branding will be fantastic. We'll have him all chained up, like we'll have him all sedated to do like you could go and get your picture taken sitting on old one eye's knee or something, and he's just ketamined up to the tit. So that's something we're definitely going to need to invest some money in tyrannid ketamine research. So
okay,
probably put a couple of trillion a year into that, I reckon.
Absolutely. So we've got all the eyes of the world are on us. We've got Spiraland, we've got Old One Eyes theme park.
Yeah. And so what if we increasingly look like we're drunken on ketamine the entire time during our presidency? That's what happens. We're busy.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Hello, dear listener. It's the old buddy Editor Stoney here, just coming through to let you know that this episode we really did do like no law. I mean, we just chatted a bunch of shit. Even for us, we did no law. So I thought that in some of these little areas here, I was going to do a little section where I tell you guys about real life governors in hive cities. Interesting ones. Slip in a bit of law. Won't leave you hanging like that. So let's have a look, shall we? So the first guy I'm going to talk about is a lad named Alberoth Helmore. He was a governor of Necromunda, and this was after the Cult of Redemption had its uprising, a big populist uprising that took a bunch of workers, took a bunch of the population, and ended up getting most of them killed. And this pissed our boy Alberoth right off, because like everyone who seeks political power, Alberoth wasn't really there for moral reasons. Oh no. Rather, he suffered under the delusion that he was just about clever enough to sort out everybody else's problems with his mighty genius, and it pissed him off that everybody else wouldn't listen to him and confirm what he already knew to be true. So he decided to make his own workforce, a VAT-engineered super race to fulfill the menial tasks needed in the many factories and workhouses. He enlisted the help of Clan Escher and the Van Saar to help him with this. His thinking was that they would end up squabbling amongst themselves and have no time to try to backstab him or steal his research or anything like that. And for the most part, his plan worked. He kept both the Van Saar and Escher on the hook with a combination of sweet promises and bitter lies. The process of making these workers ended up taking decades, work often hampered by other noble houses or gangs who saw Alberoth's work as heretical, but heretical things always have their clammy hands on the steering wheel of progress. And it wasn't long before the first Goliaths were born from his atomic vats where they were grown. Oversized muscle machines bred to work tirelessly. These new Goliaths filled the manufactoriums and rebreathed life into industries that had stood dormant for years. That wasn't till Alberoth died, drowned in a bathtub of Sumerian wine like a big juicy slug. He left his daughter Genus Helmore in charge. And with that, the alliance between the Van Saar and the Escher ended, eventually leading to the emancipation of the Goliaths, who ended up forming their own house. The big muscly house with mohawks and bondage straps. Genus Helmore didn't really care though. She thought that Alberoth's ideas to create a slave race was antiquated, because in her mind the citizens of Necromunda already belonged to the noble house of Helmore. She was just classy like that. So there you go, that's how the Goliaths were invented. Let's get back on with the waffle then, shall we? I'll be back soon to tell you some more about another governor.
This is the mark of a professional.
So that's the kind of launch party sorted as well.
Okay, yeah,
We've
cool.
fixed the main dangers. We've got a launch party, but
Yeah.
what are we actually selling? What's the dream?
Got a
What are we
mascot.
building?
Oh, the hard part, say.
I don't know really why we bought or we've taken. Why did we buy the vote in this place? Because this hive city is basically a ruin. It's like toppled over onto one side. I think we should be trying to rebuild some of it. We could rebuild it in our own image somehow, like Mount Rushmore, but on a giant scale.
All our faces.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, if
But
I know
what
anything
about-
about big building projects, they're often, although not all the
Build a
time,
wall.
done by slaves, navvies,
Yeah.
workforce. Who we need to get a cheap workforce in of cheap labour to do this. I'm thinking some orcs. Can we get some orcs in to build it for us? Because we know that they don't need expensive materials.
That is true.
That's true.
If we could
Yeah.
get some orcs on side, that would
Well, then-
cut our building costs in half.
What? Maybe for the party We should invite. And actually, when you first said Old One Eye, I thought you were talking about Baelai, which is Yarick. And if we manage to get, I know he's meant to be dead, but forget about that for a minute. If we got Yarick out of a senile Commissar Yarick in his old battered uniform out of the old people's home, and got him to our hive, then we could send out on the underhand in the black market. We can let the orcs know that
they're going to come.
Because they're going to come. So he's the bait, and he can shout at everyone at the party because he's an old Imperial commander. He can get pissed and
but the thing is
on ketamine.
We've got to make sure that we don't rile up the orcs too much, though.
Yeah,
we're trying to
But they respect
politically
him.
wrangle them.
Yeah, but maybe we could like,
I'd be worried about. I think that we might just be now we've got power. I don't
we're going to
want to accidentally hand
the
it over
hornet's nest
to Yarick by giving him an army of orcs and a senile mind with a power complex. That's the way to get overthrown.
Well, how do we keep the orcs in control then? Because we know we need them because we're not spending money. We've spent that on ketamine and research and Amasec. So the orcs are here. They're building pretty well. Things are getting a little bit riled up. How do we keep the orc problem getting out of hand?
I mean, we've solved all our other problems with this ketamine solution. Maybe we just
ketamine and concrete.
Give them some ketamine.
Ketamine and concrete. Remember the 2 Ks: ketamine and concrete.
So we've concreted the base. The orcs have come in and they've built the next floor. That's all gone tits up, and we filled it with concrete. So we're on to the next floor.
Cool. All right, cool. We're making a really strong foundation. The last one fell over. We need really strong foundations.
Okay, so the orc idea didn't work. We still need to get people to build shit because currently it's falling down.
We built this city on orcs and tyrannids. You know that old song.
The Imperial Fists have been here before. They had a crack at clearing the hive. They're very good at building stuff. They're not going to get out of hand. Do we want them around, or are they too boring?
No. They're gonna, we're gonna get into serious shit if we invite them.
If they see the kind of industries we're trying to open up here, and
they start digging a foundation, and after 30 minutes, they're digging up dead orcs and mouse strangers.
I mean, I can see. Well, the thing is we've got to try to. I feel like we've got to try to launder some of this concrete because they're going to be interested to see all this concrete being made. Because if there's one thing an Imperial Fist loves, it's fucking concrete. So we're going to have to. And seeing as how we've diverted like 50% of the planet over to constantly making concrete to bury our mistakes using shoddy materials, I feel like we're going to have to maybe. I don't know. Maybe we need to make again. I know I keep referring to North Korea. And I don't want that to be the theme of our presidency, but maybe we make a couple of faux concrete factories that look like they're they're producing a small amount of very bespoke concrete, handmade, hand batched bespoke concrete. So they feel like, we can buy a little bit of a very good concrete from these guys. But
they come here and they're like, why are all your concrete factories just pouring into molds of perfect Rogel Dawn statues? Like, that's just what we do. We're a massive fan of Rogel Dawn.
Yeah, exactly. They're the joy toys of the future.
Then we can sell that to them, so we can make more money on the side.
That's true. Yeah, our statue, our cast statue. Thing, yeah.
Okay, so that appeases them long enough to put up a few hab blocks, and we've actually got somewhere for people to come in and live that isn't in the workhouses attached to the concrete
the
factories.
dignitaries. I mean, we've got to have. There has to be a kind of the tourist destinations all look great. We've got to get that going as well.
Tourism.
I reckon we should try to get some tourism going. We've got old One Eye. He's bringing in the punters all over the place. Wacky One Eye's crazy killing floor, all of that kind of good stuff. He's down there. So, I feel like we should capitalize on that, get some of this merch sold.
Yeah. All right. Well, what other things can we bring in? 40k tourism. I'd like to have a go on Elysian drop pack. Can we have rides with drop troops? They can dress up like your favorite superhero and carry you through the skies.
Yeah, why not? I reckon we have a little look through our, the confiscated weapons and stuff down at the old police precinct and see what we've got that we can repurpose into a dangerous ride for tourists. The running of the bulls in Spain, running of the Tyranids, running of these fungus Tyranids. I'm sure there's, I know we say we've got rid of them. We say we've got rid of them, but I think some of them might have escaped from this shoddy pouring, to be honest with you. So we could do like that, where we keep them a couple of them in a cage, and everyone comes and we release them into the streets. Well, so we're going to run away from them.
Yeah, and maybe that the theme park where the posh people go and fight them. Maybe we could sell some grandstand seats as well. Maybe
there's like a grandstand there, Matt. Because if there's one thing I learned from the Romans when they wanted to keep people subdued, it's build a Colosseum.
Yeah,
I think we take what we started, Tyranid and Spireland, and we put in a massive Colosseum.
I like that idea so much. I reckon we should build it a couple of layers up, give us a couple of buffers for fuck ups in the meantime, and keep that bad boy.
Sure. Yeah,
cool.
Okay, that's going top of the hive.
We could call it the Thunder Dome, because it's up in the storm.
Oh, yeah.
Like storms happening around it. There's a queue as long as the length of the fucking hive city to get in.
Yeah, we can have a load of posters around of sexy dark Eldar ladies in skimpy underwear. We won't get any of them. Obviously, when people turn up, it'll be like
a couple of fat
lady
men in pants.
Eldar.
Having a slap fight.
Ogrid on Ogrid action.
Hello, Editor Stoney back again to do some governor lore, and this time round we're going to talk about Hermann von Strab, the overlord of Armageddon during the Second War for Armageddon, and a confirmed dickhead. Like most overlords, Hermann rose to power through a combination of birthright and assassination. He had 3 older brothers who were all jostling to take over the role of overlord after their father, Luther von Strab, died. They all plotted against each other, all overlooking Hermann, who they all considered too stupid to make a play for the throne, but that was their mistake. Anton, the eldest brother, was killed by a bomb planted by Hermann at a banquet, which also blew up 322 other guests. The second, Otto, was killed by a hit-and-run driver, and the third, Wilhelm, was found in a room, his body riddled with bolter shells. Hermann himself was found on the scene with a smoking bolter in hand, but he insisted that Wilhelm's death was suicide, and because by then he was getting quite close to the throne, no one really bothered inspecting. When his father Lucifer heard the news of his son's fate, he too died. Hermann said it was the grief of losing 3 sons that was too much for him. His heart couldn't take it. Others say it was all the spider venom that was suspiciously found in his lifeless corpse. But if there's one thing we can say for sure, it's that Hermann assumed total power over the entire planet unchallenged. But these good times did not last long. News of a huge orc war approaching the planet soon started to gather in magnitude and intensity. Readers of the Emperor's Tarot warned many times to act. Navigators contacted Hermann to warn him of the approaching warp storm that carried untold dangers, but he just sat there on his new throne, not really knowing what to do. His generals begged him to call for help from the Imperium, to prepare for a massive war, but Hermann didn't want to bother Terra with this issue. It wasn't until the orcs landed on the planet that Commissar Yarrick took matters into his own hands and called for backup. Pissing Hermann off so much he banished Yarrick to another hive city, one without an intercom link to Terra. But Hermann was a terrible general, and he lost millions of good men and equipment by underestimating the orcs. He even lost the entire Iron Skull's Titan Legion, who he sent to their deaths fighting unsupported against overwhelming numbers of orcs. Eventually the Space Marines showed up, led by Gold Dante. Hermann was sent to a bunker and placed under house arrest until they could win the fight and work out what to do with him. But the fat prick escaped in a Land Raider and was never seen again. So there you go, another governor, another dickhead down. Maybe he's out there still, fallen to chaos or eaten by an orc most likely, who can say?
I smoke weed, eat pussy every day.
I think if this is kicking off as well as it sounds like it's going to be, full of tourism, people flocking to Necromunda, are we going to start drawing the ire and the jealousy of people on Primus? Are we going to have to worry about the gangs of Necromunda wanting a cut? I mean, do we need to defend ourselves?
Well, they're going to appear, aren't they, at some point? Probably.
They are, yeah. We're
Probably
gonna,
inevitable.
yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna come by and try to get some money out of us. But I'd like to see them get over this fucking wall. Concrete, baby.
Surely one way of fighting the gangs is just to befriend some gangs first, and they can be our protection. And just sort of,
so who would
we pay them off?
Who would we pick as our main protectors?
Maybe. Well, I reckon we should go. We should go Iran Contra with it. Start funding. Make our own gangs. Let's fund some new cool gangs. Like everyone, we'll try to win over some of the other ones.
It sounds like you're suggesting we come up with necromunda gangs right now, Stoney. Which
I'm suggesting that some people love listening to this show for all the in-depth lore that we go into, and sometimes, I say we make up necromunda gangs, and that's what I'm saying we do. We need to fund ourselves some necromunda style gangs.
Okay.
I think we should make a kind of Bavarian band called the Goldschlagers. They all wear in gold. They drink Goldschlager. They have an immunity to Goldschlager. They use Goldschlager-based weaponry, and obviously it's the most expensive liqueur there is because it's got gold in it. And obviously we can maybe capitalize on that. And it's the image that we want to give off as well, like opulence, Goldschlager drinking, gang.
Well, you also know there was quite a lot of German workers in the building of the mega cities of America. And I'm thinking we're going to have a lot of workers doing scaffolding. Because if there's one thing about pouring concrete is you need quite a lot of scaffolders around. So I'm thinking dudes with big old, maybe they wheel around the cement mixer that's connected to a big pump and their guns are like spraying. They've got a girder on one arm and a hose pipe of cement on the other.
We need some cement-based gang. You're right, definitely.
Yeah. And their vehicle is a weird. Their vehicle is like a big weird cement mixer.
Yeah. They're so covered in cement, they have to be constantly wet because otherwise it dries and they all like freeze into statues into place, kind of thing. That's what happens when they die. They get turned into statues because they just let them like dry out and then they put them up somewhere.
They just trap people. They make you you chase them down a corridor and then suddenly you're stepping in non-dry concrete. Up to the knees in drying concrete. They've got you.
That's cool. We could call them the Medusas because they turn people to stone.
That's much better than the Mix-a-Lots, the Medusas.
Yeah.
Cool, and they could have snakes.
Yeah, they've got snake hair. No, what? Yeah.
They've just got snakes.
They've got big concrete snakes that shoot concrete out.
No. The like concrete tubes they're shooting concrete out have all got like snake heads on the end, molded in, like they're firing out of a snake's mouth.
Cool.
Well, that's going to keep the Goliaths away.
Oh, definitely.
They're going to see these like chads and be like, not for me.
When they come and knock in, we'll be like, hey, Goliaths, what about you come in on this cool new gang, the Medusas? Strap this mini cement mixer to your gang, get out there, get spraying people down with cement.
Yeah, and you get unlimited Goldschlager and schnitzels.
You get unlimited Goldschlager.
Oh, yeah.
Ketamine, as much ketamine as you can handle.
Ketamine on your schnitzel and on your pretzel.
Yeah, ketamine and Goldschlager. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. The Goldschlagers can just be more of a like Goldschlager guild where they just hang around turning water into Goldschlager.
And I think now we're drawing this kind of person in. I think there's another tourist opportunity. We need a floor that's just a massive techno club.
Oh, yeah.
There's one thing about people laying roads. They love techno. I've seen Kraftwerk.
Oh, yes.
It's their whole thing, motorways and stuff.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a big techno club. I mean, this sounds good.
Yeah.
Definitely. And that's going to bring in some tourism.
So you can go, you can see the Colosseum, you can see the games, you can go to the one-eye petting zoo.
Constant rumble of techno.
And then a big old rave.
Any time of day. Yeah.
Do we need to think about the day-to-day running of this place? Because we haven't really got any kind of
ketamine.
Normal workers. People are on ketamine. But I'm thinking like I've been to festivals where lots of people are on ketamine, but people still want a toilet that works. You know, how are we going to achieve the basic amenities, because so far we've only built massive slabs of concrete, a coliseum, and a techno club.
And you're right. Because I was going to say we should maybe think about replacing all the water, plumbed in water, with Goldschlager as well. So that
branded taps.
But you see, I feel like that might solve some of the, like you say, the toilet that works or something like that. Because I should imagine that Goldschlager in a toilet works a bit like a chemical toilet. So the amount of solids that you're flushing really is diminished quite a lot. But the wear and tear,
if you go for a big poo and it splashes into your bumhole, you'll get more drunk.
You'll get more drunk that way as well if you don't receive some kind of chemical burn from the cheap ass Goldschlager that our guild is producing.
We've accidentally put like sharp flakes of metal in there rather than gold leaf.
It's got no gold leaf. It's shrapnel. It's got just a bit of shrapnel in shrapnel Schlager. Hello, Editor Stoney back again with a quick one for you. Just a quick one this time because we're going to be talking about Targon Helmore III. And he's a necromunda guy, and he's a necromunda guy because he's got Helmore in his name, and the Helmores are the biggest, baddest, ruling family on all of Necromunda. Brought to power by the weight of their name alone, and Targon was no different. He had his palace in the top of the spire, and the people up there in the top of that spire, they can interact with the moons of Necromunda. And basically what happened is Targon III, he's doing such a bad job of it that everyone on the moons is laughing at him. They're all looking down and they're thinking, what's this dickhead up to? He's doing bring your daughter to work day, down at the sludge factory, stuff like that. It's all going terribly wrong. So his big idea is to move his palace down to the lower levels, the Underhive itself. Now, this was a very costly affair that took a long time and was a terrible idea because it was instantly overrun by gangs and mutants, general ragamuffins. They overthrew Targon very easily, and it was such a bungle that it almost ended the entire Helmore reign. You see, there were several other lesser noble houses waiting in the shadows, just expecting Helmore to slip up one day so that they could sneak in and take their chance. But I guess it's just one of those things. I mean, being supreme ruler of Necromunda is a job that no sane person would really want, right? So instead they leave it to the inbred and the overconfident. What could possibly go wrong?
Okay, I see what you're doing.
There's another thing that tends to bring hives down, and that's people having too much fun. How are we going to avoid people fall into chaos, especially in such a pleasure land? We need a police force. I mean, other than the
Goldschlagers,
the
Goldschlagers.
Well, they're Medusa mixers.
They're a bit like mixers, yeah. I mean, the Goldschlagers, they act kind of as special constables, where they show up first. If it's a problem that can't be solved with either Goldschlager or ketamine, then they call the real police.
Yeah, they're like brown shirts. Is that what
that's what I was. So do we have the Arbites have survived? No, we can't have them surviving. We've concreted around the Arbites precinct so they can't get out. We deliberately blocked the police in.
What about a police? Bear with me with this. The Arbites, they look like they're wearing like cosplay. They don't look like they've got good armor. We want our police force to be well equipped and well trained. So I'm thinking, what about a police force entirely of Jacaro?
Okay.
A lot of Jacaro, though.
Where are we going to get Jacaros from?
Yeah. I don't know. We'll get that fella that used to work here, biologist Hermiatus. He's never done anything wrong.
Yeah, you're right. Let's dig him up from from the concreted lower floors and see if he's got any bright ideas.
You can clone us some Jacaro. They can all have rings of power.
I like it in principle. But we do, like I say, getting hold of the
Jacaro. Should we just get one for the office?
Let's get Jacaro. Okay.
I think we should elect a Jacaro to Minister of Finance or something like that. Have him around. That would be cool.
That would be the governing thing to do. I mean, he'd be much better suited as Minister for Technology, but let's put him in finance.
Yeah, exactly. Don't want him, spending all his time on it, But I'm thinking, and maybe something got lost in the translation of the memos that we were sending down the line to our various inferiors. But what about a police force of some of these Erngull gene stealers? We elect an Erngull gene stealer to head of police, and
the mouse strains. The
the
weird
mal
one.
strains. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we stick lights on the back of them. They're always in a rush.
We can make sure their helmets cover the spiky bit on their head so no one knows.
No one fucks with
Yeah.
them. And it gives them something to do because there's probably still a couple of them around, you know.
They could bring the third arm of the law.
The third arm of the law.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and you know they're all ketmined up, so they're good and docile. So
we've got to hope that our ketamine supply remains.
You're right. We better invest in some more ketamine mines.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like we're descending. Like I feel like maybe power is corrupting us. We're employing.
If the power's not. These drugs certainly are.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we came in. We started it pretty corrupt. Let's face it, and now we're here, and we're just governing as we began. You know, so it's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
But we're fairly self-sufficient. I mean, we're not really buying anything in. When the whole economy's run on concrete and ketamine that we produce.
They're two economies that only go up. It's like gold. You invest in concrete and ketamine, you're only going to get richer.
What about like mansions and penthouses, and we need to start building the spire, or getting ready to build a new spire.
It would block out the light from getting into the Colosseum, though.
We just build a big light.
Okay.
What about we could have it as like a kind of a so the Colosseum is constantly loaded with people watching or fighting. We open the doors to any contenders. Anyone can throw down. We do table, ladders, and chairs match. We do cage match. We do the whole lot, you know. But what I like to think is, what about we build a limited amount of houses in the spire? We're building them slower than everywhere else because we're taking the time. We're using the good concrete. We're using that that bespoke concrete that we're the
Rogel Dawn statues,
the Rogel Dawn shit, exactly, to make these like fine, nice, cool houses. And then the people who win in the Colosseum get to move into one of the houses. And then if you want to move house into somebody else's, you have to challenge them in the Colosseum. It's a kind of a fight for your house kind of thing. And also it keeps all the rich folk busy, so they're not, you know, talking about pouring concrete onto poor people, which is their other big hobby, I guess. Well, I guess that's our hobby as well, but you know, we're the governors, so
we can do what we want.
Yeah, we got elected by an estate agent.
It seems like quite a hard place to navigate that we've built. So what about like public transport? I was thinking, what if we just tapped into the webway?
Of course, webway. The fastest we can make a webway bullet train.
Yeah, as long as we can privatize it.
Obviously,
yeah.
Duh.
It does open us up to Dark Eldar, but as long as we give them the odd session in the Colosseum, they'll probably be all right.
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, you're right. We've got some good bargaining tools, but it's accident. You know, we talked about it not falling to chaos, but I feel like what we're accidentally going to do is throw open if we're saying anyone can live in the top half here, we also need a bunch of Dark Elder to move into. We're basically making Camorra, but with more concrete. And
maybe webway gates aren't the best plan.
I mean, they are a good plan, though. They would be good if we could get one, but it's just, you know.
If only like a really famous ruler had tried to install a webway somewhere and it had all gone wrong.
Or what if we just didn't have trains and everyone just had jump packs?
Okay, so everyone's issued a jump pack.
Yeah.
That could get quite expensive. Though.
Yeah, but expensive, not for us.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure most people would probably, your first couple of outings in the jump pack are very touch and go as to whether or not you're going to survive because
of the ketamine.
Yeah, because you're drunk on Goldschlager on ketamine and you've never driven a jump pack before.
and you've been in the techno club for a weekend.
You've been in the techno club for a week. The sky is just littered with people jumping around on jump packs. There's no roads or anything. The amount of cranes and stuff lowering concrete to the lower levels. And things. So it's very hazardous.
What about if we try and funnel some of the winds that blow across Necromunda up into kind of tubes? You know how people train for skydiving?
Oh,
or
okay.
like
Oh,
Bon
yeah,
Jovi
yeah.
on stage. So you have like tubes that are constantly having air blasted up them.
I thought you were
just
gonna
jump
talk
in.
like one of
There's
those
air tubes.
Yeah, like they
Yeah.
have in
Peop-
supermarkets and stuff, and you put
Yeah.
it in,
Yeah,
it
kind
goes
of like that.
Yeah.
But
Old
powered by the
office thing.
winds
They
of
have that in
Necromunda.
Futurama, don't they? That's like a Futurama.
Yeah, it's like a
yeah.
60s office thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
Before
Yeah.
like
Or the post office.
digitalization.
Maybe we should.
Yeah.
Maybe we should. That's what we should do. Is we should for decor. We should make it all retro futurism, steampunk. we make everyone wear steampunk clothes, and we've got all like everyone typewriters and dumb shit like that.
I mean, that's kind of very techno as well.
Yeah, that's.
I think we're creating
What about-
and the Goldschlagers, the mixers. They're I can really picture them now. They've got like those builders boots on, those big builders boots.
Mm-hmm.
They've got their tops off, but they've got braces on and a bit of a Germanic
They
style.
all look like Till Lindemann. That's basically
yeah.
But their front is always covered in vomit because of the amount of gold flaked vomit all down themselves,
massive
swaggering all over the place,
Yeah.
shouting at strangers, belligerent. Well, what about this in terms of travel, right? Because this hive city's fallen over, hasn't it? It's like on the piss. It's like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. What about we build massive escalator going up the side?
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a straight up escalator. And then slides going down the other one.
Slides going down the other side. Yeah. And then, if you want to rent a taxi, that's the jump pack thing. We do those bikes, those scooters.
But it's jump packs.
People go and they put in their app or whatever. They take the jump pack. They prize it off the dead body of the last guy that tried to jump on it. They put it on and they jump off into the sky.
Yeah, and then it runs out of battery.
Runs out of battery because we've not arranged anyone to come and pick them up.
That's how we keep the riffraff out off the top floors. We make a big.
Oh
what we do is above the Colosseum. We put another few layers of concrete so that only people with jump packs can get up to the next bit.
People with jump packs get up there.
And we can control because we own the company that supplies the jump packs. We can control who runs out of fuel, so we can eliminate our competition. Our enemies, anyone that's suspicious of us. We can take them out.
Because hives also have guilds, so we need to set up a fuel guild. That would be the most powerful guild. It's not about controlling the water, although people on ketamine are very thirsty. We'd be controlling the fuel.
Yeah, and the fuel is ketamine, and that's why we need the ketamine guild. These jump packs run on ketamine and Goldschlager.
And if we need to get rid of people from the higher. If the people have made it up, somehow they've got through our defenses, they've made it onto the high points of the spire, and we need to demote them back down through the levels of concrete. We throw them in the K-hole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The K-hole is just a big tube in the middle that goes down.
Try again.
Yeah.
Back to the Colosseum for you.
Back to the Colosseum. You land immediately in the middle. Yeah, it's like a new contender. It's like pushing start on the player 2 button. You just immediately fall into the Colosseum. Whoever's in there, you just appear and have to fight as well. But
what about refuse?
What, the rubbish and stuff?
Yeah.
Doesn't that just go down to the bottom?
Into the K-hole.
We concrete it over, baby. We've got another K-hole down on the bottom where we just shove in all the rubbish, and then we just fill up with concrete every day. A little bit like a concrete lasagna of rubbish and concrete. Have you got room for one more? Because we're doing it. And this time we're talking about Zular
Hadiar,
who was an imperial commander of
Haphos.
When the Great Rift was created. After the Great Rift appeared,
Haphos
was totally cut off from the rest of the galaxy. Warp storms raged all around the planet, isolating it from both Vox communication and physical rescue. But the new rift was having a strange effect on the people, and soon mutants and cults of deranged chaos cultists dedicated to Magnus the Red started to grow in strength and numbers all across the planet. But Zular had a secret weapon up her sleeve, a bunch of imprisoned psychics. She had squirreled away for just the occasion, and she got them all to squirt their psychic energy at the chaos cults, bursting them all to pieces. Then she sent her best guardsmen out to the underground cities of the mutants to totally crush them and destroy them. But this trip into the spiralling tunnels and mines of her planet unearthed more than just a disordered gang of fledgling chaos mutants. It revealed a large and patient gene-stealer cult lurking beneath the surface. Seeing they had been discovered, the gene-stealer cult began assaults all over the planet, eventually taking the starport.
Elitario.
Unable to call for help, Zula made the typical 40k decision of blowing up the entire starport and pushing back the gene-stealer cult considerably. But she had been taking many losses and was in no fit state to pursue them. This was when the Tau showed up. They made contact with Zula and sent some watercasts down to meet with her. They offered to help fighting the gene-stealer cult in exchange for her joining the Xenos Empire. So Zula formed an uneasy truce with the Tau. And as much as she didn't want to give her planet over to the Xenos, she knew she couldn't defeat the gene-stealer cult on her own, and hopes of being rescued by the Empire were dwindling. So she reluctantly agreed to the Tau conditions, and they went off to bomb the shit out of some gene-stealer cults. The Watercast returned victorious to Zula, and despite her armies being almost entirely wiped out in the action against the gene-stealer cult, they had been defeated. And just when it was looking like the die was set, and Zula would join the Tau Empire, one of her priests from the battle came in. Miraculously surviving the terrible war, he came with grave news. The Tau had bombed the shit out of everything, indiscriminately, bombing Zula's forces and the Genestealer's cult alike. In fact, it was the Tau, not the Genestealer cult, who were responsible for most of the deaths in her forces, making sure to bomb the place so ferociously there would be no survivors to tell the tale. But the priest did survive, and he was armed with the good word of the Big E, and Zula heard that word and sent those Tau packing, her faith in the Emperor more assured than ever. And I mean, it just goes to show, doesn't it, that it doesn't really matter who we are, we can all join together in hating things from other places. And isn't that what politics is all about from the end of the day? Or is that the Watchmen comics? I can't remember. Either way, we can all agree that it's definitely someone else's fault and everything we've done is right. So vote Big E and pay your tithes, people.
It sounds like we've got our actual hive sorted out. So do we now have to start thinking like trade-in relationships? I mean, we can't exist by ourselves. We do need some food.
Yeah.
Like kebabs or
yeah. I think we should renegotiate our trading deals with our nearest hive cities. I think we should do that as a
we can offer them concrete or ketamine
and Goldschlager
in exchange for kebabs.
Yeah, basically, I mean, I feel like that's more or less. What do hive cities usually trade in? What do they have? Like, do they have natural resources or anything, or is it all just commerce?
Necromunda must be pretty like spent of natural resources. Maybe maybe one of them has access to water. But then
supply.
Is
it all just like, political
it's kind
information
of self-contained in like a law form, really, isn't it?
Yeah. But maybe some of them
they still have to pay their tithes, so they must be making money. But maybe that's through like gambling or trading and selling, pelts and things like that.
But maybe there's other spirits and stuff that we want that we can't make. We can obviously make Goldschlager and ketamine, but maybe they'll want some Goldschlager and ketamine.
Yeah, I mean,
trade.
I feel like we can definitely trade some Goldschlager, but I don't feel like we should be. I feel like it's heresy to allow other spirits into. Like, we can't be taking in gin or anything like that, or any other kind of schnapps other than Goldschlager. I feel like that our city was built on Goldschlager. We can't turn our back on it now.
I don't know what else we need then.
I think that one of the things, because probably what happens is everybody's so instaunched on a political level, being rich and whatnot in these hive cities, that there probably isn't a whole lot of like real life politics that goes on in terms of like, oh no, the bogs are all backed up or whatever. That's probably like a servitor or something that deals with that at the end of the day. Like, it's probably just like trading political secrets and just being like lame and political like that. So maybe what we could do is we could try to attract some people, like I feel like we mentioned earlier, gambling. Maybe we could be like the Vegas,
Okay.
the kind of,
Yeah.
or like something like that. Try to like
Gambling
open it
on the
up.
Colosseum.
That
Yeah.
would be good. Yeah, get some gambling on the Colosseum. Some other things like a throw a guy with a tracker on into the K hole and see how long it takes for him to splat at the bottom, or all these kind of like what's it, like roulette, with the ball that like goes around or something. We could build like a giant concrete one of them with we stick a Tyrannid in and see how long it takes for him to fall down a hole or something. All these kind of games we could get, and then hopefully these guys will build up huge debts with us that they can't pay, and we can have them in our pocket.
Yeah.
So is that like
based economy?
Exactly.
Yeah. It also sort of, the way you were describing it then, it was almost reminded me of like an Olympic Games.
Constant Olympic Games.
Yeah, but we could do like we could
hive
invite
cities.
all the other hive cities to come and represent.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And charge them an extortionate amount of money.
Of course.
Yeah. And hold
and get
the
them all
necromunda games
on ketamine and gold.
And then we can sell it to them. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Stoney, you mentioned something there about a servitor having to clean out a bog, and I think that could be something we're in need of. I think we might need to start importing brains from somewhere, because I don't think after years of ketamine and Goldschlager abuse,
they're not the best.
They're not the best for servitors, even for servitors. So we might need to source some brains from somewhere.
Maybe. So we get the other hive hierarchy hooked on ketamine, and then to get more ketamine, they have to supply us with humans.
Yeah,
or just body, or just the brains, but.
And we ended up where we always knew we would.
Yeah.
Slavery. We've got slavery, brains for ketamine.
Oh, man. Oh, you're right. I feel like maybe we've become corrupted. I just got into this. I just wanted to do some ketamine and drink some Goldschlager. And now, all of a sudden, we've got a backup. We've got a load of brains and stuff to make toilet unblocking robots.
Laid plans and all.
Yeah,
I don't know what an Inquisitor would make of this.
It doesn't matter, because we're going to be making enough to pay our imperial tithe.
Exactly.
That's all that mattered.
Yeah, don't miss.
Don't look under the carpet. Just make your payments.
That's right. What do you mean we can't pay in flecks of gold from Goldschlager?